A lot of us were on edge after the RTD shooting downtown. So tonight, when dozens of police cars converged on Cherry Creek because of a carjacking and hours-long standoff, well, that certainly didn't help matters.
Not at all. Denver 7's Jacqueline Allen was there for the arrest and for the traffic nightmare.
The streets are back open here in Cherry Creek tonight after a nearly 4-hour standoff. Police wouldn't tell us what the carjacker said, but they did tell us they brought in an interpreter to try to talk to him. In the end, he is under arrest, but police say it's not how they wanted it to happen.
RP still has sight of the suspect inside the vehicle.
Denver police tried to talk the man inside this SUV into coming out on his own for hours.
It's scary. I came home at around 3 o'clock and it's still been going on.
And during that time, this busy area came to a standstill. An elementary school on lockout, businesses closed, traffic halted. Police say it all started when a man described as well-dressed tried to carjack a woman parked here. She ran away. He barricaded himself inside her black SUV. They don't know if he was armed, but they surrounded the car with armored vehicles and waited. After hours of negotiating, even bringing in an interpreter, police finally used rubber bullets to get him out.
Not really the type of result that we would have preferred tonight. Again, we would have preferred that he would have exited the vehicle on his own, but we are grateful that he wasn't seriously injured.
Police say they had to treat this as though the suspect had a weapon, whether he had one or not, because there are so many people in this area. They needed to protect the community. In Denver, Jacqueline Allen, Denver 7.
And the debate around Denver police's use of force is clearly seen in its response to that particular standoff. The department even tweeted this evening that it values all life, and consistent with that philosophy, it is taking time to resolve the situation in North Cherry Creek. DPD also wrote that the community's role is patience and understanding.
Less than 2 weeks after he took office, and it's already clear that President Trump is going to take a very different approach to Iran. His national security advisor came to address reporters and gave this stern warning to the leadership in Tehran.
President Trump has severely criticized the various agreements reached between Iran and the Obama administration, as well as the United Nations, as being weak and ineffective. Instead of being thankful to the United States in these agreements, Iran is now feeling emboldened. As of today, we are officially putting Iran on notice. Thank you.
General Flynn took no questions. It's not clear exactly what on notice means. It's a clear warning to Tehran, and officials here say all options remain on the table. They also say that the warning came here from the White House rather than the State Department because of its importance. Yemen's devastating war continues to claim civilian casualties. General Flynn says Iran has been supplying Houthi forces who control much of the north of the country, including the capital Sana'a. But what's particularly angered the new administration is a medium-range ballistic missile test on Sunday, which they say involved a missile large enough to carry a nuclear warhead. The UN Security Council's already met and discussed the missile test. The Trump administration believes it does not breach the landmark agreement reached in Vienna 18 months ago between Iran and 6 major global nations to limit Iran's nuclear capabilities to civil use only. But I'm told the whole policy on Iran is under review. Before he was president, Donald Trump said it was a bad deal. Already, relations between the US and Iran have soured since President Trump took office. Iran is one of the 7 countries on the US visa ban list, and Iran's president, Hassan Rouhani, has labeled Trump a political novice.
We had tremendous success on The Apprentice, and when I ran for president, I had to leave the show. That's when I knew for sure I was doing it. And they hired a big movie star, Arnold Schwarzenegger, to take my place. And we know how that turned out. The ratings went right down the tubes. It's been a total disaster. And Mark will never, ever bet against Trump again. And I want to just pray for Arnold, if we can, for those ratings, okay? When you hear about the tough phone calls I'm having, don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. They're tough. We have to be tough. It's time we're going to be a little tough, folks. We're taken advantage of by every nation in the world virtually. It's not going to happen anymore. Freedom of religion is a sacred right, but it's also a right under threat all around us. and the world is under serious, serious threat in so many different ways. And I've never seen it so much and so openly as since I took the position of president. The world is in trouble, but we're going to straighten it out. Thank you as well to Senate Chaplain Barry Black for his moving words. And I don't know, Chaplain, whether or not that's an appointed position. Is that an appointed position? I don't even know if you're a Democrat or if you're a Republican, but I'm appointing you for another year. The hell with it. We want people to love us and to love our values, not to hate us and to hate our values.
President Trump lambasted the leader of Australia over a refugee agreement before asserting this was the worst call by far and abruptly hanging up the phone, according to senior officials, during what was supposed to be an hour-long call with Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull. Trump complained that he was going to get killed politically because of an Obama administration agreement to admit 1,250 refugees living on islands off the north coast of Australia. The president tweeted about the heated exchange, saying the Obama administration agreed to take thousands of illegal immigrants from Australia. Why? I will study this dumb deal. Prime Minister Turnbull declined to comment on the apparently hostile overseas call and would not immediately reveal how many refugees are expected to be resettled in the U.S. White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer told reporters on Wednesday that the U.S. will make good on the Obama administration agreement, but that the refugees will be subjected to extreme vetting. Admitting hundreds of refugees, most of whom are Muslim, would violate Trump's controversial executive order on immigration, also known as the Muslim ban.
La prestación de un servicio por parte del gobierno. Señoras y señores, el día de hoy hemos anunciado el inicio de un proceso formal de consultas para guiar la revisión y profundización de nuestro Tratado de Libre Comercio con América del Norte. Estamos dando paso a un proceso acordado con el gobierno de los Estados Unidos, que por igual inicia ya en aquel país y que se da en el marco de este diálogo constructivo que queremos tener para construir el nuevo marco referencial en la relación entre México y los Estados Unidos.
That commercial break. Republicans right now voting to basically blow up the rules and force through the confirmation vote for EPA pick Scott Pruitt. That vote just happening 11-0. No Democrats in the room. Remember, Democrats boycotted this, as we told you earlier this hour. So Republicans are essentially making this rules change to move this through. What does this mean now? It means that Scott Pruitt now goes to the full Senate for a confirmation vote. No scheduled date on that just yet. All of this again happening in just the last 5 minutes.
Are following the latest developments after a juvenile girl is killed and 2 other teens are hurt.
St. Paul police responded to reports of gunshots overnight. They say officers went to the 500 block of Case Avenue East around 10:30 last night. When they arrived, they found 2 girls and 1 man injured. One of the girls died on the scene, and a 17-year-old girl and 18-year-old man were taken to the hospital. Mary McGuire joins us now live from that neighborhood in St. Paul. Mary, you have been talking with people who live there. Did they hear anything last night?
Well, folks that I've spoken with that live in this neighborhood say that they heard multiple gunshots late last night. I'm also learning more about the victim from family members. The victim's cousin, who did not want to be identified publicly, told me over social media that this is the girl who died last night, 16-year-old Sadea Hall. This is the GoFundMe page that was launched just hours ago to help pay for funeral services. Now, St. Paul police haven't identified the victims yet, but they do tell us they do not believe that this was a random crime, but it is unclear what led up to this incident. While it is a tragic loss, people who live in the neighborhood aren't surprised by what happened.
It's a lot of kids, but it's a lot of crime too. A lot of drug dealing, a lot of shooting. Pretty bad area.
It's scary to go outside and you got to face people getting killed every day.
St. Paul police say this is the 4th homicide to happen in the city this year. St. Paul police were here for close to 12 hours this morning investigating, and you can see that there is still a squad car outside the house where this all happened.
Mary, thank you.
I'm not able to give you a motive for the attack. I'm not able to give you a description of the weapons other than to know we are aware that some had sharp instruments, but at this time I have not been presented with what they are, so we're not ready to share that yet either.
This was a very sad day across the state of Delaware, with the loss of one of our brave correctional officers. After a torturous 15-hour ordeal that went through the night, we learned of Sergeant Floyd's demise. My prayers all day yesterday was that this event would end with a different result. But it didn't. So today, all of us mourn the family of Sergeant Floyd.
This wire mesh, it might be 12 feet tall, if that. It's very easy for anybody to come across by going over it or through it. If they want to get vehicles through, what they'll do is they'll just cut it and lay it down and run vehicles through. They'll just cut a certain portion of the fence and drive the whole vehicle into the United States from Mexico full of drugs. We've caught vehicles loaded with up to 3,000 pounds of marijuana in them.
Helping to secure the border, I think we need much more than just a wall or a fence or a barrier. There's a lot of other components, I think, that need to be thrown into place to help secure the border. As far as manpower, funding, technology, infrastructure.
Developing story in South suburban Moni. A woman is dead, her teen daughter shot and hospitalized.
Police say her ex-husband, who they believe is responsible, has been found dead nearby. CBS 2's Mike Puccinelli reports.
The mother of a woman who was shot to death in Moni is escorted out of her daughter's home carrying a bag of her possessions. She was too distraught to talk. A few hours later, we caught up with Rhonda Brody, who says her brother committed the crime. You think he snapped?
I think he did.
Brody is sure Damian Lee killed his ex-wife, but she's not sure why.
I know he was very much in love with her. They probably got into it and he couldn't take it.
Brody says her younger brother also shot their teenage daughter, who she believes likely intervened on behalf of her mom, Tiffany Lee.
That's my niece. I love her. He has some very respectful, good kids.
Brody insists that her brother would not have shot his daughter on purpose.
I know he wouldn't have never hurt his daughter. His kids, he loves his kids. He really loves his kids, so maybe she jumped in a way or something, I don't know.
Although police won't confirm the information, Brody believes her brother, after realizing what he'd done, drove about a mile away and then turned the gun on himself. Do you think he took his own life?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You think he just couldn't live with himself after?
No.
So far, officials have refused to go on camera. No motive has been determined, but officials say no one in the village is in danger.
U.S. military officials revealed Wednesday that President Trump's first covert counterterrorism operation was carried out without sufficient intelligence, ground support, or adequate backup preparations. As a result, the attacking SEAL team found itself dropping onto a reinforced al-Qaeda base in Yemen, defended by landmines, snipers, and a larger-than-expected contingent of heavily armed Islamist extremists. The deadly raid was planned before the Obama administration left office, but was delayed. A Trump administration official said the operation was thoroughly vetted and that the previous defense secretary had signed off on it. The New York Times reported that the commandos knew that the mission had been somehow compromised, but they pressed on. Military officials said a brutal firefight broke out and took the lives of Chief Special Warfare Operator William Ryan Owens and at least 15 Yemeni women and children. One of the dead was the 8-year-old daughter of Anwar al-Awlaki, a militant killed by a 2011 U.S. drone strike.
This is a picture of the man that they've identified that went into a Duane Reade on Southern Boulevard in the Morrisania section in December and started pocketing close to $150 worth of items. When an employee confronted him, he threatened to stab her with the needle. The same thing happened at a Walgreens and a Dollar Tree store in January.
It is more than just random passionate citizens who are joining together in the protest against Donald Trump's immigration ban. On Thursday, cable company Comcast decided to hold an hour-long protest at their headquarters in Philadelphia to protest the ban. More than 1,000 employees participated in the protest, and Comcast took care of their employees, offering paid time off to anyone who decides to join the protest.
President Trump is continuing his streak of rebuking every law set in place by former President Barack Obama. This week, Trump insisted that the deal set in place with Australia that any refugees they could not take could resettle in the U.S. was a quote-unquote dumb idea. Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull reassured on Thursday that the deal was still on, but refused to comment on the recent phone call with Trump.
في أضرار كبيرة يعني حوالي 30% من الأسواق، مجموع الأسواق طبعا الأسواق المسقوفة في حلب القديمة اللي أهم جزء منها هو السوق المستقيم، تمتد بطول 16 كيلومتر ومساحتها 14 هكتار. حوالي ثلث مساحة هذه الأسواق متضررة بشكل كامل، وحوالي 70% متضرر تتراوح النسبة بين أضرار متوسطة إلى أضرار كاملة، وفي جزء من الأسواق بحالة جيدة.
Regardless of the daily ups and downs of the political process and the security situation, we decided to start planning 3 years ago. And I remember people who were telling us, are you mad? You start planning for rebuilding now? And my reaction was, it's already too late. And we will see one day soon, hopefully, when there is a peace agreement of some sort, and we need to deliver to the people of Syria on basic services and housing and schooling. And
clashes erupted in Romania as people took to the streets of Bucharest to protest against a government decree. The government wants to decriminalise the theft of public funds less than $47,000, at a time when ruling Social Democrat Party leader Liviu Dragnea is on trial for diverting a sum just short of this figure. Mr. Dragnea denies the charge. The leader of the Junior Alliance of Democratic Liberals, which forms the current coalition government, also faces corruption charges. Both are currently barred from serving as ministers. Mr. Dragnea's party says the decree will reduce prison overcrowding. The government has also sent a proposal to Parliament that would pardon thousands of prisoners for non-violent crimes, which would free around 3,000 convicts. Analysts say the demonstration was the largest in the country since the end of the Cold War. The protests reflect a widening political divide between rural older voters who remain loyal to the ruling party and younger professional urbanites demanding reform. In November 2015, protests over a deadly nightclub fire and concerns over public safety service corruption forced the Democratic Party to step down. The caretaker government that followed presided over several thousand anti-corruption cases in an unprecedented purge of the country's civil service and political.
Says Iran has been supplying Houthi forces who control much of the north of the country, including the capital Sana'a. But what's particularly angered the new administration is a medium-range ballistic missile test on Sunday, which they say involved a missile large enough to carry a nuclear warhead. The UN Security Council's already met and discussed the missile test. The Trump administration believes it does not breach the landmark agreement reached in Vienna 18 months ago between Iran and 6 major global nations to limit Iran's nuclear capabilities to civil use only. But I'm told the whole policy on Iran is under review. Before he was president, Donald Trump said it was a bad deal. Already relations between the US and Iran have soured since President Trump took office. Iran is one of the 7 countries on the US visa ban list, and Iran's President Hassan Rouhani has labeled Trump a political novice.
We had tremendous success on The Apprentice, and when I ran for president, I had to leave the show. That's when I knew for sure I was doing it. And they hired a big movie star, Arnold Schwarzenegger, to take my place. And we know how that turned out. The ratings went right down the tubes. It's been a total disaster. And Mark will never, ever bet against Trump again. And I want to just pray for Arnold, if we can, for those ratings, okay? When you hear about the tough phone calls I'm having, don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. They're tough. We have to be tough. It's time we're going to be a little tough, folks. We're taken advantage of by every nation in the world virtually. It's not going to happen anymore. Freedom of religion is a sacred right, but it's also a right under threat all around us, and the world is under serious threat in so many different ways.
Less than 2 weeks after he took office, and it's already clear that President Trump is going to take a very different approach to Iran. His national security advisor came to address reporters and gave this stern warning to the leadership in Tehran.
President Trump has severely criticized the various agreements reached between Iran and the Obama administration, as well as the United Nations, as being weak and ineffective. Instead of being thankful to the United States in these agreements, Iran is now feeling emboldened. As of today, we are officially putting Iran on notice. Thank you.
General Flynn took no questions. It's not clear exactly what on notice means. It's a clear warning to Tehran, and officials here say all options remain on the table. They also say that the warning came here from the White House rather than the State Department because of its importance. Yemen's devastating war continues to claim civilian casualties. General Flynn
A lot of us were on edge after the RTD shooting downtown. So tonight, when dozens of police cars converged on Cherry Creek because of a carjacking and hours-long standoff, well, that certainly didn't help matters.
Not at all. Denver 7's Jacqueline Allen was there for the arrest and for the traffic nightmare.
The streets are back open here in Cherry Creek tonight after a nearly 4-hour standoff. Police wouldn't tell us what the carjacker said, but they did tell us they brought in an interpreter to try to talk to him, In the end, he is under arrest, but police say it's not how they wanted it to happen.
RP still has sight of the suspect inside the vehicle.
Denver police tried to talk the man inside this SUV into coming out on his own for hours.
It's scary. I came home at around 3 o'clock and it's still been going on.
And during that time, this busy area came to a standstill. An elementary school on lockout, businesses closed, traffic halted. Police say it all started when a man described as well-dressed tried to carjack a woman parked here. She ran away. He barricaded himself inside her black SUV. They don't know if he was armed, but they surrounded the car with armored vehicles and waited. After hours of negotiating, even bringing in an interpreter, police finally used rubber bullets to get him out.
Not really the type of result that we would have preferred tonight. Again, we would have preferred that he would have exited the vehicle on his own, but we are grateful that he wasn't seriously injured.
Police say they had to treat this as though the suspect had a weapon, whether he had one or not, because there are so many people in this area. They needed to protect the community. In Denver, Jacqueline Allen, Denver 7.
And the debate around Denver police's use of force is clearly seen in its response to that particular standoff. The department even tweeted this evening that it values all life, and consistent with that philosophy, it is taking time to resolve the situation in North Cherry Creek. DPD also wrote that the community's role is patience and understanding.
Less